to be successful, you must be fully committed, right? Like burn the ships. Tutu e waka, tutu.
Yeah.
Right? Like burn the ships.
Yeah.
Because that means we are willing to live with the consequences of this
Yes.
outcome.
Yeah.
Right. And see, that's what real courage is. Not the fact that you have a guarantee or you even have a notion of this shit's going to work or not, that you're just like, this shit just got real. And I believe in myself and he who created me, that despite the fact if I fail or succeed, I'll be able to move on from there.
Yes.
And in the Buddhism, and my boy Edwin Garcia, he always talks to me about this term in Buddhism is like impermanence, like nothing lasts forever.
Yeah.
I had Colonel Kedrick Wills, who's the leading officer for Idaho State Police, come on my show, and he calls it a transitional. I'm here as the director of the Idaho State Police, and this is my transitional opportunity. It doesn't stay forever, right? But the courage comes because of the fact that you believe that you will be able to move forward in spite of failure, success, difficulty, or process or progress, whether you do that or not, right? And that's where my ass, I don't care if I look small.
Yeah.
I don't care if I have my first seminar. I mean, do I want my first seminar to be, 1,000 people? Yeah, but my first seminar was only 112 people. My own Coach V, Release Your Champion seminar, right? But I lived with that and I learned from that. And when this COVID thing opens up, the lessons that I've learned 3 years ago that I've been planning on now on how to market appropriately, what's my niche market, right? Has taught me so much. And then I'm going to live forward. Even when you're successful, you must do the same thing. And here's the irony, Will. Most people can't perform at their best because they're scared of the outcome.
All right, we are live, y'all. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Kava Club podcast, where we share healthy conversations, knowledge, experiences, stories to promote happiness, love, success. You know, when harmonized, complete balance completes the circle of life. So I'm excited for you guys, for everybody. If you're tuning in for the very first time, you guys already know who I am. My name is Will. I'm the host of this show. If you're tuning in for the first time, thank you so much for tuning in. Please like and subscribe to my channel. Please show some love and support. And for everybody out there been watching my channel, and please support and be subscribing. Thank you so much for all the love and support. Really means a lot to me. Keeps the fire going. But I'm very excited today. I have a very special guest. Actually somebody I personally know. Is one of my mentors. I draw a lot of inspiration from. So I'm very excited for him to be here today and get to share his life story with you guys also as well. He is a keynote speaker. He is a success coach. He is an author and Hollywood radio host. And he's one of my tocos. And I can say proudly to say he's a toco. So I'm very excited today, but I'll let him introduce himself real quick. It's all you.
Thank you, Brother Will. And thank you so much for the opportunity to be featured on your show. I see the massive growth that's going on in the multitude of people that you're helping. And it's a pleasure and honor to be here. My name is Viliami Tuivai, born in Tonga, grew up in Pomona, California. And my wife and my family and I, we reside here in Elk Grove, California.
Yes, sir. I'm excited, Coach. Just one more time, I'll just say directly to you, thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm very humbled, very grateful for the fact that you, I know you're a busy man, so I want to get right into it. So thank you so much for joining me on this show. So I guess the very first question I want to ask you, Coach, is, I know everybody don't know who you are. So can you give like a synopsis of your life story, your background, where you came from, so that way a lot of people get to know, introduce who you are?
Yeah, and again, thank you, Will, because you may see me as a mentor, but I really do see you as not just an equal, but someone who in this space is going to be someone who is going to be growing and impacting lives worldwide. And I say that sincerely. I felt that from you. From the very beginning, when you first reached out to me. You're the only guest host ever of my Hollywood radio show, the Coach V Show, while I was on vacation last summer with the family as we went up to Yellowstone. I've never felt, like I could let somebody else host my show out of Hollywood, and you did that and you stepped in for me, and I'm so grateful for you. And so I'm grateful to be here. and to be featured on your show and tell my story and my testimony of being born in Tonga in 1975. We immigrated here, a pretty well-off family, and a family that had good standing, both in the royal family and socially in Tonga. We were not without in Tonga. In fact, when we were growing up as a child, anybody who was watching me, I'd go as a 3-4-year-old and cry for stuff in town, and the store shop owner would be like, I know his parents, give him what he wants, they'll pay for it after. And compare that to coming here on vacation to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, where there in 1979, where there weren't really, Vice Hema didn't play there yet, and so we're in Philadelphia visiting my mom's brothers and sisters and my grandpa, the late Reverend Tafoktau Tape Alava, who just passed away in the East Palo Alto area just about 6 weeks ago. And so my mom didn't want to go home. And so she wanted to stay here with her brothers and sisters. And so we ended up staying illegally. So we overstayed our visa. We came here with luggage, flew first class, stayed in nice hotels in Waikiki. And that was about the last time that we ever tasted that life, until maybe just 5-6 years ago, where my wife and I have built up to where we are today, to be able to travel and create amazing family experiences for my kids and my wife and I. But we struggled. My dad took on being an upholsterer. And the dynamics of our family, like my dad was born of 2 other parents, but adopted and raised by his aunt.
Yeah.
And Tanginoa Manoa. So Letele Manoa and Tanginoa Manoa are the ones who raised my father. Anakapo was my dad's mother. But they both remarried. My dad's real parents remarried. And so he was raised by my late grandma, his aunt, sister to, right, the complexities of the Tongan, trying to explain our ties. Right? So, he was raised by them. And so he had a tree cutting and a lawnmower service in Tonga, gas station. He played in the band. And so my dad did the same thing here. He got into upholstery and being an entrepreneur. He learned the craft and basically raised our entire family off of running a upholstery shop out of the garage when we eventually ended up in Pomona, California. That's why I really gained my entrepreneurial, faith and belief. My dad didn't know how to scale. And he didn't know how to hire, but he knew how to give bids, run an ad on the Penny Saver, and support our family. And so him and my mom raised myself. Analongo Aivalu Charlene Tuivai, which is my sister, Letele, Simaima Tuivai, my next sister, and then my brother, Saimone Popona Tuivai, and Viliami Tuivai are the brothers and sisters that we were raised with. My dad has 3 older brothers and sisters. My dad had 3 other kids prior to marrying my mom, which are my older brothers and sisters, Etimoni, Fotu, and Kato. And so together, and then we had one adopted from the hospital in Tonga, James Arthur, who's in Australia, and he works there for the government. And so there's 9 of us total kids. Grew up in Pomona, California, went to Roosevelt, then John Marshall, Ganesha High School, went the junior college route, being an undisciplined and a guy that had big dreams.
Yeah.
Had no real discipline and commitment for follow through as a young kid. I went to Mount San Antonio College, and then I transferred to San Bernardino Valley College because I thought I could play. I didn't want to compete for my position at Mount Sac. I left. They won the national championship that year.
Yeah.
And then I went, my dad's company became a mobile service for what was then Family Fitness that became 24-hour fitness. Packy Wilson and Ray Wilson, who owned the clubs, gave us the contract to do all the upholstery. So we became a mobile upholstery service for what was then Family Fitness. I went back to school at UC Davis as a 22-year-old sophomore. I was the oldest dude in the locker room as a sophomore. And then, so I ended up starting there for 2 years. I became captain my senior year. And then I was substitute teaching at an all Spanish speaking class, trying to be a football coach at the high school level and teach history. And then I got a call to be at graduate assistant at Boise State. I really didn't know what that meant, but they flew me up there, and I was breaking down film between Iowa State, which was Seneca Wallace at the time was the quarterback there, in the University of Miami. And I called my girlfriend then, who's my wife now, was like, this is my ticket. I got to come here and do football. I was there from 8 years at Boise State on the blue for 8 years, starting as a graduate assistant, moved up to the linebacker coach, got demoted and fired, and became the director of football operations for the program for 2 years, which is a great blessing because I got fired. I hated every single minute of doing it, but it taught me how to deal with paperwork, compliance, budgets, $2.9 million budget to run a program. So I really learned the business savvy. Though I was fired from my dream job, a job I hated, I had no other option.
Yeah.
And my daughter was just born, so I had to take that job. And then my wife got a job at UC Davis in 2010. In the fall of 2010, she came here first with my daughter, and then I finished off the season as a director of football operations at Boise State. I thought we were going to go to the Rose Bowl and win the national championship that year, but Colin Kaepernick in Nevada happened to us, where we were up by 21 points at half. Yeah. We missed the field goal. Instead of going to the Rose Bowl that year in 2010, we ended up going to the Las Vegas Bowl, playing Utah. Ever since, my wife was, carrying the load and financially supporting our family as I tried to figure out what I am doing today, which is keynote speaking, success coaching. I'm an author and the host of the Coach V Show out of Hollywood, Island City Media Group, out of Dash Radio in Hollywood on the Hollywood Boulevard. And then just launched my podcast and tried to do the Will Nacuzzi deal as the host of the Coach V Show podcast, which is all set on Spotify right now. And so I currently live in Elk Grove, California. My daughter just turned 12 yesterday. And
Happy
my
birthday.
son is 11. Yeah. And right now I'm an aspiring snowboarder, world traveler, and trying to grow my podcast to be like Will's podcast worldwide. That's my story.
Hey, take it easy. Coach, as the one thing I love about sharing stories, because I feel like, for me, I'm all about success, promoting happiness, love, but success, especially because you're a success coach. One thing I do realize today, a lot of people, when they see successful people, they focus on the results, but they don't focus on the process, right? And I love how you shared your process, because a lot of people see you today. They see you as an entrepreneur, success coach, right? But people don't realize, the reason you are where you are today is because of that process. And you mentioned one of your brothers when you were sharing the story. He had all this potential, but he never had the commitment and that work ethic that took him to the next step. And for me, I feel like not only from my Polynesian people, but I see, man, every single day I meet all these people, especially the younger generation. I meet all these people that have the potential, they have the ability, they have what it takes to take it to the next level, but they just don't have that commitment and work ethic. That's so, right. All right. So that's why I'm always interested when I meet successful people. I'm always fascinated to hear their journey, because I feel like that's where the lessons are, especially for people that's aspiring from the ground to take it to the next level. So the question I want to ask you, Coach, is, as you're sharing a life story, you shared a lot of ups and downs and a lot of struggles, a lot of struggles. But the one thing I loved about what you shared is that you did not give up. You didn't, at any point in time, you adjusted, you did not give up. When I hear a lot of successful people talk about their stories, even though everybody's story is different, I guess the one unanimous life experience that they all share in their story is they did not give up, and they always face some type of adversity. adversity, right? And everybody knows the quotes about adversity. Adversity, it can make you or break you. You know, it's not the opposite of success, it's part of success, right?
Yes.
And then, unfortunately for a lot of people out there, especially my listeners, a lot of people that want to be successful, sometimes adversity breaks them. You know, when they face failure, when they face struggle, when they face pain in their life. But for you, you know, you were able to tap into yourself, whether it was your sheer will, whether it was your faith. You know, you were able to overcome those adversities that you mentioned in your life story. So I want to ask you, Coach, for everybody that's listening, you know, how do you overcome adversity, and what is your process?
Yeah, man, that is a loaded question, and one that if everybody knew and would actually do, there'll be more billionaires.
Yeah.
There will be no 10%,
Yeah.
top 10 or the top 2%. But
yeah,
I do appreciate the question. And I do want to say that for me, everything that I am is because of my faith. Unmerited and undeserved favor. I get the freaking fact that I had to work for it. I had to create a process. What are my daily habits, daily activities, daily routines, automated tasks that create a flow in my life, that creates momentum? And those things now lift me to the next level. I know that processes, protocols, procedures. I teach millionaires, billionaires, Fortune 1000, Fortune 500, and Fortune 100 companies how to do that. All in 29 industries. I have no relevant experience or freaking expertise. So the shit's really ironic, and it's really a trick that they hire me. But what it is for me in terms of overcoming my struggle is that I get oftentimes too much credit for overcoming that struggle, because really it's the man upstairs. I became a keynote speaker getting paid thousands for being a pinch hitter for my head coach at the time at a St. Luke's Health Systems event that he couldn't attend. So I went and spoke. I took up about 3 things, and I was still at Boise State at a job I didn't like. You know, as a director of football operations, I was grateful for the job, right? But I spoke about 3 things: character, integrity, and work ethic. Got a standing ovation. I've been getting paid thousands of dollars ever since. I never dreamed about being a Tony Robbins, right? And now people call me like the Polynesian or the Tongan Tony Robbins, right? I didn't have that, right? God placed that right in front of me and said, yeah, you don't like your job? You know, this is your anointing. You got the courage and to chase after that which I have anointed you with, to be created in the image and do the things that I'm created in the image and the likeness of God, who created me, who's a creator and can manifest and be and do all things. And I'm not trying to say I am God, but I think that we all have that within us. So one, I've been blessed where opportunities came to me. My sorry non-English speaking ass that came from the ghetto, where not even English, Ebonics was my first language. There's no way that my ass could have connected the dots on all this. Did I not quit? And did I keep moving forward after client after client and after person wouldn't hire me to speak for free back in 2011, right? The man upstairs connected it. And then really, I had no other choice. Now, I coach, teach, and train that success and failure are the same path. And we must travel that, because that's how life works.
Yes.
But I also know that my ass, right, would be freaking homeless if I didn't. I had no other option, Will. So a lot of times I'll go to companies and like, man, you've overcome so much. English isn't even your first language. And you were eating free and reduced lunch when you were growing up. Yeah, if I didn't do this, my daughter and my wife and I would have no place to go. And not just because of pride, but because of the fact that I would be neglecting and taking for granted a blessing that was mine to not quit. Like people are like, oh my gosh, you never quit. You've overcome so much. Yeah, but I didn't have any other choice. It's like, that's where people really realize and have an awareness, like, I am accountable for my life. I get that God blesses me. I get God blessed me with, I mean, obviously I have a certain level in the skill set that I've learned, but I had it before I even did it, right? So that's would be my question. And in terms of my process and my clients is when I can teach and train and have my clients as well as myself consider, what is your process? What are your daily habits, daily activities, daily routines? In spite of the fact of failure or success, that you come back and make that process better, create value. The market will never not pay you for your value, because that's how the law of economic works. Neither will the market overpay you. If you don't deserve it and you got that kind of cheddar, you're not going to stay there very long unless you have the basic fundamentals, a process, a way of everyday living with a design calendar, right? So in a long response, that's my response to overcoming failure, how important failure is. Yes, I mean, only success breeds success, but failure is the faculty of life that can teach you like no success can. But that failure still only teaches you what not to do. Ain't nobody making 100,000 plus in America that don't know how to do something, right?
Yeah.
So it's a combination and it's a multitude of what I just talked about, but then it's also very distinct per the client I deal with. And then it's very distinct to the industry or the market, because I work in 8 markets across America, coaching national brands. What they do in Southern California is very different than DFW or just north in the Oklahoma panhandle, or in Colorado or in Indianapolis or New York. Like, so I work with brands in all of these marketplaces. So, but this is the one thing that doesn't change: the humanness of who we are. Because regardless of what you do and what industry you're in, and this is my lane, right? I coach empowerment and I teach empowerment because of the fact that we are all in the people business, both on our teams and our respective companies, organizations, nonprofit, county agencies, national agencies. I've worked with all of these. You can name it. I've been around with almost in every industry out there. But the humanness doesn't change. That people yearn for, and which is the reason why your podcast is just blowing up, is because people yearn for personal growth and development. People want professional advancement and how to have a bigger title, have more success, gain more cheddar, right? Yeah. And people say, well, you know what, more money, more problems. We got a saying in the hood: no money, bigger problems, right? And then after that, it's like, how do you appreciate and are grateful for yourself? Then when you can teach other people how to develop and have a process for developing your people for personal growth and professional advancement, and they feel appreciated, the studies are conclusive, right? Yeah. My clients alone experienced 7% to 35% growth within the first 6 months of working with me, and approach, wait a minute, I'm their boss, but I need to tell them every time they do something good and I appreciate them? Yes. Because that's how the human spirit and the human person operates and performs at its highest potential, where you take the potential and now it's executed and deployed into the marketplace in terms of performance, and that attracts the cheddar and the value and the opportunities, at least in my experience, in terms of life leadership and business will.
Yeah, Coach, thank you for sharing that. And I love what you shared, because that's like the question I always hear a lot of people: how do you overcome adversity, right? And I love how one thing you said, you had no other option, right?
yeah. Right. It's not like I don't deserve. I mean, look, I got awards, football rings, I get community awards. I mean, United States Secret Service. I could go down the line, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, like, I really feel like that doesn't deserve a special recognition, because my ass is either I did it or I died. Period.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I always hear. That's one of the things I love about. I remember Tony Robbins. He said something like that. You have to burn your boats if you really want to take it to the next level. You have to burn your boats, your excuses of things that's holding you back, and move forward. And I always tell people, a lot of times they struggle with adversity because you haven't burned your boats. There's so many things that, whether it's an excuse or taking accountability. But when you're from, like, I'm from Tonga, so when I'm here trying to make it, like, there is no other option for me. People always say, Like, how are you able to get up in the morning? How am I able to do what I do? Because I have no other option.
Come on, Will. Come on, Will. Tell them.
It's not because I don't make excuses. I make excuses as well, but I also understand that I gotta make it. If I don't make it, I'm not gonna survive. And then I feel like for a lot of people, they just haven't reached that level where, like, I guess I know they're the entitlement to feel like that they can be successful without going through some type of failure or pain and struggle. And for me, just coming up from Tonga, I realized that, my whole journey has been painful. My whole journey has been trial and error. And I realized at this point in my life, that's just part of the process. I've learned to embrace it. When I fail, when I make mistakes, that's just life. That's just life.
Will, you're talking some real talk, right? And I believe that's what being absolute. So, and so here's a few things. Here's the irony. The irony is that to be successful, you must be fully committed, right? Like burn the ships. Tutu e waka. Tutu.
Yeah.
Right? Like burn the ships.
Yeah.
Because that means we are willing to live with the consequences of this outcome.
Yeah.
Right. And see, that's what real courage is. Not the fact that you have a guarantee or you even have a notion of this shit's going to work or not, that you're just like, this shit just got real. And I believe in myself and he who created me, that despite the fact if I fail or succeed, I'll be able to move on from there.
Yes.
And in the Buddhism, and my boy Edwin Garcia, he always talks to me about this term in Buddhism is like impermanence, like nothing lasts forever.
Yeah.
I had Colonel Kedrick Wills, who's the leading officer for Idaho State Police, come on my show, and he calls it a transitional. I'm here as the director of the Idaho State Police, and this is my transitional opportunity. It doesn't stay forever, right? But the courage comes because of the fact that you believe that you will be able to move forward in spite of failure, success, difficulty, or process or progress, whether you do that or not, right? And that's where I don't care if I look small.
Yeah.
I don't care if I have my first seminar. I mean, do I want my first seminar to be, 1,000 people? Yeah, but my first seminar was only 112 people. My own Coach V, Release Your Champion seminar, right? But I lived with that and I learned from that. And when this COVID thing opens up, the lessons that I've learned 3 years ago that I've been planning on now on how to market appropriately, what's my niche market, right? Has taught me so much. And then I'm going to live forward. Even when you're successful, you must do the same thing. And here's the irony, Will. Most people can't perform at their best because they're scared of the outcome.
Yeah.
So the greatest deficit in Super Bowl history is the Atlanta Falcons up on the Patriots by 25 points.
25 points,
right?
Yep.
So because they were scared of the outcome, and I don't coach, I don't know anybody there. We played Matty Ice when he was with the Boston, with Boston College when they played Boise State in the bowl game my first year at Boise State. So I've seen them, but I don't know nobody, and I don't know the end. But from the outside, it looked like the pressure of the consequence of failing or succeeding, they could not handle. Evidently, I mean, ironically, right? Because then here comes freaking Tom Brady again, 25-point deficit. And what did he do? He did his daily habits, daily activities, daily routines, automated tasks that created flow in that game. That flow created momentum, and that momentum lifted them where they're hoisting the Super Bowl trophy. And you look at 3-1 deficits in baseball, or you look at the Los Angeles Lakers and you look at and you study success, right? Where they had great leadership. They had great players, right? Jeannie Buss, her brother was running the Lakers about 3-4 years ago. And I'm a Laker fan watching all your Warrior fans stomp all over me, the last 5 years, right? Will, all the Warrior fans you used to live around, right? And then as soon as we changed leadership, in terms of the approach for those daily habits, daily activity, where Jeannie Buss now took over the Lakers, we won the ship 3 years later, right? Yeah. So this doesn't work like this because I say so. One, life says so, and I'm just sharing my experiences of how I see it from the myriad of experiences that I've had, Will.
All right, thank you. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I think one of the best things I've heard somebody say when in regards to overcoming adversity, making those hard decisions. I think it was something like that. I'm paraphrasing, but he said whenever you want to make a decision for your life, just think about the worst case scenario and ask yourself, would you be able to live in peace with that worst case scenario? If you can say yes, then move forward. And for me, whenever I make hard decisions, I always think about the worst case scenario, and I always say, well, even if it doesn't fail, this is the worst case scenario. I'll survive, and then I'll still be able to make that decision and move forward, because everybody has that fear of things not working out. But I found a way for me to, like you said, just if it doesn't happen, I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna fail. I'm gonna be okay.
Yeah, and then if it does happen,
oh,
shit gets special now.
Exactly.
And I text you a couple of things that I thought, not to boast, but just to go, hey, look at this. This is one client. And then you text me back like, man. And I'm just going,
yeah.
So, but I have the same anxiety. And then, so there's at least two differences. There's 5 to 7, but really quickly, the two differences between the millionaires and billionaires, which I am not a millionaire. This is going to be the first year I get close. I don't know if I'm going to hit it, but I'm going to get real close, even with the pandemic, right? But there's two things, right? Is that one, the most successful people get more shit done in a 24-hour period, in a weekly period, in a monthly period, in a quarterly, and an annual period, more than anybody else out there. I mean, they freaking get after it.
Yeah.
And then two is just like they have this mindset that what's next? How do I better this process?
Yeah.
How do I review and refine, even in success? People do that mostly when they fail. They go, okay, how do I review, refine, and regenerate what's good and leave the bad shit behind? Mm-hmm. They do it even when it's successful.
Yeah.
Right? So they get more done in their day, right, than anybody else does. And they are so effective and efficient with their time. They're great communicators. And then they're always evaluating their process. So we do this in sports because that's just how we roll. We go to practice, we watch practice, we adjust it the next day. I just brought that approach to a lot of companies who didn't do that. But the companies who are already doing that at the national government level, at the the Fortune 1000 and Fortune 500, every quarter they are scrutinizing, developing, advancing something. They're looking at well, let's talk about new opportunities now. Where is our new I mean, freaking Amazon was just shipping packages. They started with like books, then shoes, and then next thing, now I'm watching movies on freaking Amazon, right? That's how those operations work, because I get to sit in some of these meetings and I'm like, are you kidding me? They're gonna do a streaming movie service? They ship packages. But and so this is maybe the third thing that these millionaires and billionaire clients that I coach have. They're like, fuck, why not me? If that person can do it, why not me? Right. And I've been talking about that forever. And I was like, man, I have a whole part in my book that's like, why not me? Because that's what I always thought. I didn't go, oh, I feel sorry for myself. I'm a victim. Whine, blame, complain. I looked at this mofo in the mirror. Right. And I'm looking better now that I'm down 25 pounds or so than I was.
I see you, coach. Ago. I see you.
Trying to be like Will on his show, and then like, how do I do that? Because it starts with me. There's no whining, complaining, or blaming in this game. In life, leadership, raising kids, marriage, you got time for that shit. Yeah. And if you do, I'm going to tell you, you're subscribing to misery.
Yeah.
Life is struggle. Struggle is
life.
Misery
is optional.
That is optional.
I love that. Coach, I do want to ask you a question because, I know one of the biggest advice a lot of people I hear from successful people, including yourself, is to find the right people and finding the right mentor for your life. I feel like sometimes, based on my observation, one of the biggest mistakes a lot of people make is they take advice from the wrong people. All right. They take advice from people, negative people but people that have never done or accomplished what
Mm.
they're trying to do for their life, and the things I always hear from a lot of successful people, they always recommend, you should go out there and find somebody that's actually living your dreams, actually living the life you want to live, or they're actually bringing the results that you want for your life, the consistent results, or, they actually have the skill that you're trying to specialize within your industry. So I know for you, I want to ask you personally, who was your life coach? Who was a person and how did you find that person? Who are the people that had a big impact for you? And you kind of share that for everybody that's listening on this podcast.
Yeah. So I think there's a handful of people, but if I could, Will, can I go in stages?
Yeah, that's fine. Yep.
So when I was younger, it was definitely my parents.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes, the lights didn't work.
Yeah.
Because we had to pay the bill, and moms figured out how to get them to turn the lights back on while my dad was getting done a sofa. And then seeing my dad grind and not be really good with English and freaking unapologetic and didn't care. He wasn't ma, or he didn't care about that he couldn't speak English. And he'd be like, it's not my language.
Yeah.
I'm doing my best,
Yeah.
And so my parents first were the role model of how to persevere. Now we didn't have much. I mean, I grew up on free and reduced lunch until I had reduced lunch my senior year, right? So that's when my dad started doing work with Family Fitness my senior year. We moved out of Pomona. We went to Ontario, California, a bigger house. And then I was finishing by just driving, bought me a car. I mean, I never experienced anything like that. So those two are the model of perseverance for me. In my adult life, no one has made. So I've had amazing coaches, right? Like Bob Biggs gave me an opportunity to be a 23-year-old walk-on at UC Davis. Coach Franks, Tony Franks was my position coach and the linebacker coach. Like all of these people sharpened me, held me accountable, and was not only the example, but could sit in the passenger seat and let me drive and coach and mentor me that way in football. But at Davis, I learned that football was all secondary to life.
Yeah.
And, Dan Hawkins was the head coach at Boise State, who gave me my first opportunity to be a GA. I had an opportunity to go with him to the University of Colorado. Chris Peterson, who gave me my first job. I didn't make any money. I never had a contract until I was 32 years old. The guys that I went to calculus with in high school, they were making a professional income around 24, 25, 26 years old. They went to MIT, they were making money, people working for CBS, NBC, and SoCal. And here I go, I'm freaking 26 years old and I barely graduate, And then I'm a graduate assistant for 3 years. And then, so I didn't really get a check until, I was in my 30s.
Yeah.
So there's my whole life is littered with amazing people in the community that I live in and volunteer, but no one has had a greater impact on my adult life than my girlfriend, who's now my wife. Right? And I really do coach about this, because you want to talk about a bad decision, be in the wrong situation or be casual in your relationship and you might be stuck for life. It's a life sentence. And luckily for me, I met a gal in college. She was going to Sac State. I went to Davis. And then she was so kind to me. I mean, she took a ghetto, every other word was MF for me. MF and this, I had long hair, braided. I was from Pomona. And I thought I was about that life. And then I met a girl who just changed my heart. And I asked her to marry me within 3 weeks of just seeing each other. And she said no. And we've been together ever since.
Persevered, right?
Yeah. And she had, she believed in me. She was that person. She never really told me what to do or how to do something.
Yeah.
But she always just believed in me. I was like, I'm going to go be $100,000 coach at Boise State. I started making $380 a month. That's what I made for 3 years, 10 months out of the year. And I had to figure out during the summer how to make ends meet by doing football camps across America. And she didn't flinch, right? And then I got my first contract and she was like, awesome. Can we move out of this 1-bedroom loft apartment now?
Yeah,
and we
yeah.
only had one futon, 2 chairs, a small dining room deal. And we lived in the loft upstairs. All of our furniture was from Walmart. To now, when we moved from Boise State, we had an 18-wheeler bring all our stuff down. So nobody has had a bigger impact on me than that. Now, today, I have some mentors and business partners, and even my clients really rub iron sharpens iron off on me. I learned so much from my client sessions because they're in industries making millions, and how they do their process, that every one of my clients really sharpened me. And then Big Paul Tuivai, who's now Mighty Paul Tuivai, who's an entrepreneur. He's out there, is one of my mentors now. Joey Kinga, he is the owner and the founder of the new Island City Media Group, which is Island City where the beach meets the streets. And then my community brothers here in town that I snowboard with, I do community, and we volunteer to bring and offer free camps to over 4,500 kids since 2013 for free in football, basketball, soccer, how to fly planes, snowboarding and skiing. So
yeah,
those would be the people. And this is the reason why that's important. So in what I teach in terms of real relationships, like real relationships, that who are the 15 to 25 people that you're around that will help develop and advance you into what you want to do, become, and achieve. So the V formation, science says, is the most effective and efficient formation in nature.
Mm-hmm.
In that, flying in a V formation of 25 people or more that make you better, that hold you accountable, that create opportunities, that's not scared to promote you to their friend or to the market or to an industry. 71% more is your increase in range. Range for birds is how much farther can you go without needing to stop and rest, eat, sleep,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
and those things, right? So your range is increased by 71%. I have gotten here after a decade of what I've done because of the people that I have been around, learned from, helped me grow, connected me with opportunities. And even like yourself, we don't even really know yet, Will, what you and I are going to sharpen each other in yet.
Yeah, yeah.
We've started a fellowship, which is what I've called it this whole time.
Yeah, yeah.
But really, we're just getting started, right?
Yeah.
So in that, it's like relationships, you have to have relationships that will grow you and develop you. Right. And there are some relationships that you need to cut out of your life like a cancer.
Yes. Yes,
it's
sir.
Going to hurt and you will bleed. It will take time to heal. But if you don't do it, they're going to kill your ass. They're going to kill your opportunities. We are who we roll with, assimilate to whom we associate, and we become who we are around. So all this ghetto, I get why people say it, because it's hard. Relationships are hard, right? They say, I keep my circle tight. Yeah, go ahead. I got hundreds of people that I could call on a dime to connect people and to help people and to also support what I do and get this thing rolling. So I really feel like relationships and mentorship and who you're around is really going to be not only the environment, but man, you talk like them, you think like them, you like what they like, you start eating what, and then you almost lose yourself. I'm talking about being around relationships that you could be you. They may not, like I got Republican friends, I got moderate friends, liberal friends, right? And we all kick it and we love each other. And then they want to vote for Trump. I vote for Biden. And we all respect that. And we have a healthy conversations and how to move each other forward. That shit's hard to do, but if you can grasp on to some folks like that, Will and I both think we agree, you better cling on to them folks. They're hard to find.
I know. I love what you shared. And I'm a very big believer in that. You're always going to be a product of your environment, And then for me, I'm a sports person. I know you're a football person too. You guys see this all the time. How many times have you seen an average player in one team leaves that team, goes to a different team with a better system, better management, and they become pro bowlers, and they become the dominant in their position. You see this all the time. So your team of who you surround yourself with really, really matters. And shout out to Nipsey Hussle said something I will always remember. He said that if your circle of friends don't make you better, that's not a circle, that's a cage.
No doubt, no doubt. So Nipsey's right, and I think the ultimate social experiment of what we're talking about relationships is the Tampa Bay Bucks.
Yeah.
Right. They had the head coach. They got 3 black coordinators, 2 female coaches, 1 assistant in the weight room. Right. And then they needed one guy. They said they were like, and then they got that one guy, and then they got his homie, the tight end, to come over. And then they got the running back to come over, right? And then so that's how 71% more effective and efficient. Shit, they didn't even make the playoffs last year. And their quarterback, which was awesome, James Winston, I mean, he threw for $5,000, right? But he had too many turnovers, and he wanted one guy. They had all the other relationships, but they were missing that one guy. And so from that standpoint, what Nipsey's saying is like, man, that was a cage. One season later, Super Bowl champs.
Yeah. I remember saw an interview with one of the players. They were talking about Tom Brady. He said, what was the biggest difference of Tom Brady when he walked into the locker room? And he said, as soon as he walked in the locker room, everybody had faith that they're going to make it to the Super Bowl. Yeah. And that was the difference. They just believed.
Yeah, because like you believe, right? You become legitimate because of the lead bird. Yeah. Because the lead bird, he takes on the criticism, the headwind, and it's the most fatigued position in the V formation. Yeah. And then him and the head coach would kind of switch off. And then Gronk would be the guy. But notice this even more. Who did Gronk throw the ball the most touchdowns to in the Super Bowl? His boy Gronk. Relationships. He's like, all the chips are on the table. I'm gonna go with the sure bet, the guy that I trust. Yeah, and that's just what I think.
Thank you. Yeah, that was great. That was great, Coach. I do have another question for you. Because Coach, I know you're busy, man. That's why I'm saying thankful for you taking the time to do this podcast with me. No, I know you're busy, man. I know you're busy, man. Always traveling. I know before COVID, you had the conferences, you had the seminars, you had your speaking events, and the one thing I always notice about a lot of successful people today, in regards to family, they're very successful when it comes to their business, but when it comes to the family, they struggle and they fail in it. And the one thing I love about you, and I respect you, I know only as a successful person, but as a man, I respect that how you always value family and happiness, and you're not willing to compromise that for success. So that's something I love about. And I want to ask you, Coach, for everybody, why do you feel like it's the struggle today for a lot of people to be able to handle success and also be able to be successful with their family as well and find that balance that you have found for yourself?
Yeah. And I think we alluded to some of it earlier. I mean, the only way to be successful is to be absolutely focused, fully immersed, and not distracted. Yeah. The bad thing about that is that if you don't have people like us talking to you and being an example, then you leave yourself susceptible to being blindsided by neglect. There's at least 7 phases of what I teach, coach, and train in terms of your life: personal, familial, spiritual, professional, financial, relational, and mental. Those 7 aspects. Mm-hmm. So when you're only focused on your profession or your finances, there's still 5 other parts that you might be neglecting. Yeah. So that's what I coach, teach, and train my amazing clients that come to me. They're like, V, man, I feel like I don't have any work-life balance. And I said, I don't know what work-life balance is. I never experienced a 50-50 split in work-life balance, but I do fucking know priority. So in that, success is only part of the goal. So people come to me, so they either because they're hugely successful and they can't figure out the other part, or because they want to achieve more success, but then able to understand both the aforementioned that I just talked about in these clients is how to translate that success into joy, peace, happiness, fulfillment, love, and family time. Yeah. And that's my juice, right?
I know.
I mean, Tony has his juice, and I get it. I subscribe to Tony, Brendan Bouchard, John Maxwell, Gary Vee. These guys are the monsters in my industry, but I'm coming. And what I'm saying is this, is that how do you develop joy, peace, happiness, fulfillment, love, and family time, and have that be the spark that now generates the synergy that now impacts positively what you do for the cheddar? That's the question. Because everybody else does it backwards. They schedule and design and put into their calendar their work life, their work schedule, what they have to do for work to the detail. But when it comes to their personal life, their spiritual life, or their familial life, they leave it up to chance. In fact, most people can be quite successful by just shooting from the hip, having no real design or process, and then being successful in business and in money. But then what they feel like is they're getting ran the fuck over by their job. Right. And that's why I coach workflow is don't get ran the fuck over. Because that's what happens when you feel overwhelmed, anxiety, and angst because of the fact that you have no real process. But in fact, without a process, you could still work your ass off and still get success and a certain amount of cheddar. But the scale and now translate that success into joy, peace, happiness, fulfillment, love, and family time, that takes design. And a lot of people don't know what that design is. To me, I would offer for the guests and those watching is to design your family time first. On any calendar, there's at least 16 days. There's 14 days that are holidays like New Year's, President's Day, Valentine's Day, that you have to focus on. Easter, Mother's Day, Father's Day, 4th of July, Memorial Day, Labor Day in September, right? There's 14 to 16 days in there. Those are times that are off. I designed that into my calendar along with my anniversary, birthdays, special commitments for that are either, Samoan Flag Day or the Holalea in San Diego that I want to make an annual thing, along with 3 7-day vacations and 1 2-day vacation a month. And then now I can groove and move and create synergy in the marketplace and in my job all the other days. But if you're looking to just schedule your work and then shoot from the hip when you go on vacation, right? You don't have anything to look forward to. You're grinding on a job, and then you become the cage where all you're doing is working, being overworked, not appreciated at your work, right? And then you pay bills and die. Now that's what happens. And the majority of people on the planet kind of live that way because they're sold on this fact that the hustle, I need the hustle. No, you need to become more effective and efficient and then focus that hustle, but make sure you know what the main thing stays the main thing. That's all I'm saying.
Thank you, Coach, for sharing that. And what I got out of it is is to plan for it, right? It's a plan for it. And then a lot of times, like I said, I remember in my past I've made that mistake where I put so much energy on what I'm trying to do, but when it comes to my personal relationships, I don't put the same energy. And I love how you said you just plan for it and find that balance. So and don't shoot from the hip, which which a lot of people do, and I'm not gonna lie, I used to do that for myself. But now, like I said, prioritize everything. Give them the same amount of attention I would give to success. Give it to the same amount, especially for the people. Go ahead. Yeah, you want to say something?
Yeah, that's right, Will. And because we book our 7-day cruises, right, or our Maui getaway for 10 days, when we plan it a year to 8 months ahead, it's cheaper. We go on a cruise on Princess or on Carnival or the 2 cruise lines, right? For 4 of us, we get a 7-day cruise with 3 stops. We get it for like $1,300 on the front end. You still got to pay taxes on the back end for the ports and all that. $1,300. You can't find a hotel for $1,300 in San Francisco or Maui, right? So when you buy ahead, things are cheaper. You're more planned out. Now, the bad thing about that is when there's a world pandemic, we bought all those ahead of time and now they become credited, right? So we kind of miss on that. But I think the worldwide pandemics only come every 65 to 100 years. But so that's the thing. It's like everybody has something to look forward to, and you feel less pressure because the wife or the family is not getting the attention, and you can optimally perform on the job. Because
Yeah.
don't worry, we're going snowboarding on Sunday and skiing this Sunday. April 11th, we're going to Maui for 7 days. After that, in July, we're going to Walt Disney World in Florida for the first time. Like, it's already planned out. Now, if we can't go because of the pandemic, okay, I can't control that. But I will not be held accountable for not planning the best experiences of my life with my kids at the age of 12 and 9 because I didn't take the time to plan it.
I love it. I love it. Family. I love it.
Yes,
Coach.
sir.
Yeah, I do want to ask you. This is a question for all the men out here that's watching this. One thing I always see a lot of successful people, not only successful in their business, but also successful with their family. Especially for, the one thing they always say is how important it is to choose the right partner, somebody that understands your entrepreneurial lifestyle, your passion, your focus, the plan you have for your life. And they always say, having the right or wrong partner can make the difference between success and failure. And I want to ask you, for all the men that's watching this, how do you know you have the right partner?
Yeah. I think there's so many layers to that, Will, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we grew up where our parents, a generation of parents that just made it work, arranged marriage or not,
Yeah.
And in this day and age, we feel like we want more if we don't have what we have. My wife is amazing. I already alluded to that.
Yeah.
If you have casual relationships, you might sentence yourself to a life sentence of some shit that you didn't subscribe for or want, right? But I think that the ultimate love language, now everybody has their love languages, right? For men, it's usually like food and sex, straight up. You love me, you take care of me. I don't have to do anything. I'll create the money. So, and that's, I think, is maybe overgeneralized on men. Because men like me, I expect and I want more than just that. Right? But I do think that finding the right spouse, whether you're a female or a male, is that you choose that to be your spouse. Because me and my wife get into it, man. I mean, we've been together since, she just turned 19 and I just turned 23. I'm 45 now. We've been together forever. And so we get on each other's nerves because we know how to get on each other's nerves better than anybody else on the planet. But I always tell her, it's like, hey, forget all that. I just choose you. And that's what compromise is, right? Compromise is a love language that I will become as much as I can what you want me to be, not because I want to, but because I love you. I think that's an ultimate love language. And for all of us to understand that love is a noun that works better as a verb, because without action, love is just a word. And it's the same thing for success. Success is a noun that works better as a verb, because without action, success is just a word. And it works with faith. Faith is a noun that works better as a verb, but without action, faith is just a word. So if you truly love someone, I think the ultimate love language is to sacrifice without losing all of yourself. And I'm not saying if you're with the wrong freaking person and both of you are miserable, I don't believe in not talking about divorce. I mean, life is too good for us to stay together and be freaking miserable together. I think that people need to go find that. So I think it's a really hard thing, but ultimately it comes down to, if the right person is for you, it's not because of just compatibility. They do what you want. They are what you want. Their hair and their style is the way that you want, that you like their family. Because, man, we all come from dysfunctional, sorry-ass families, all of us. So the family thing is another component, but that you choose that person to be your person. So my wife has an amazing best friend, sister, who's her person. I don't have that. My wife is my person that I confide and talk about all the crazy shit that I think about doing. And so I'm lucky and fortunate and just blessed that she became the one. And people that connect with me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, you'll see my wife and you'll be like, damn, V don't deserve that. You're right. You're right. But then it's also better to be with something that people say that than to be with something that's uglier than what you wanted. So I'm blessed.
That's facts. Hey, you speaking truth right there, coach.
I'm just saying real talk. People are like,
Yeah.
man, you outpunt your coverage with that one. I was like, what you want me to do? You want me to just get what's like me? No, I need something better.
Yeah. But like you said in the beginning of the podcast, why not?
Why not? I mean, I saw this girl and she said no to me to give me her number and she became my wife. And I'm just like,
yeah.
You know what? You won't give me your number. Here's my number. I left her my number and she called me 2 weeks later. We've been together ever since.
All right. Thank you, coach. I really appreciate it. You know, in closing, I know I want to be respectful for your time. I know the time for everybody out there that's trying to figure out their life, what they want to do for themselves, and figure out their purpose. You just give them 3 steps. Anybody out there that's in the beginning stages of their journey and they're trying to figure out their purpose and what they want to do for their life, what would those 3 steps be?
Yeah, I think success starts first and foremost as an inside game with outward performance and results.
Mm-hmm.
So if you figure out what you believe in, like what is the overall thing you believe that filters everything you do, see, hear, feel, and experience. So to me, that's my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.
Okay.
If you know what direction you're going, you don't need to know the exact destination, but you better know what direction and be good with traveling that. And then lastly, the third thing would be is to know and be good with your purpose. A lot of people know their purpose, Will, but they're scared shitless of it. And they don't want to live it out because they don't pay bills and stuff. And I get that. But those would be the 3 things. It's like, what or who do you believe in? What direction you're going? And that you know your purpose right here. Everything else doesn't take care of itself because I've never seen shit do that. I hear that it's such an overused term that people use in life, leadership, and business. If you do these things, everything else takes care of itself. No, you have to take care of all of it.
Yeah.
But if you ain't got those 3, everything else is it's never gonna fulfill you. You won't be able to scale your success into the hundreds of thousands, 500,000s, millions. You just won't be able to because it's not engaged in here, right here.
Yeah. And I love what you just shared in closing. I love what every those 3 things you just shared, it was something within, because I always believe, you know, when you want to be successful, it's an inside job. You work from within and go out and not out.
That's
to
right.
Within. So thank you so much, Coach. Thank you. I'm very excited. I had a great podcast. And I'm just excited for the opportunity to learn from you and to listen to your story. And enjoy this podcast. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.